Now I'm going to go over to the actual module itself where we can create jobs, claim jobs, and things like that. So over on the sidebar, now under settings, there's going to be a stringing page. If we go over here, this is where we're going to be able to see all of the jobs that have been created. We can see all of those different job statuses. So we have draft, my jobs, open jobs, completed, and all jobs. Drafts are going to be those jobs that are maybe you began creating that stringing job, but you have not filled out all of the information on it. My jobs are going to be any jobs that are assigned to me on my account when I'm logged in. Open jobs are going to be jobs that are completely filled out but just have not been assigned to a specific stringer yet. Completed are going to be jobs that have been marked as completed. So here we can see under my jobs, I have one with the status of completed. I manually switched that status over. So now it's going to show under the completed section. And then we also have all jobs here. So that's just going to be all jobs that you have in the system. So now if we go over to create stringing job, what we can do is add the number of rackets. We can link this to a member in your organization's account, or we can also just add a player's name. Maybe it's a non-member that's not in your organization. We can also just add that information here, send it, add an email address, add a phone number for that non-member. But here we're going to have that requested completion date. This is that date that was selected over on the setup page on that first section. I believe the name of it was the minimum that you could set for the request. So days in advance to request. I believe I had it set for 7 days. So by default, it's just going to pick that. And again, that's going to be the default and the minimum. So here we can see I can't go any earlier back than November 2nd. Next, we can add a stringer here. But again, if we don't have a stringer yet, we don't need to select one, and we can just save this. So here we can see right now it's in the draft status. The information has not been filled out yet. We have not chosen a stringer. So let me just put in some test information here. We have the racket description. We have the tension for the racket. We have those string patterns that we talked about earlier. All of those default ones are going to be here. Any custom ones that you add manually will be here as well. If you have pre-stretch enabled, you'll be able to choose that for the racket. And then any additional notes you may want to give to the stringer, you can add here under the notes as well. When we hit save, now we're going to have the racket itself's information on this job. So now we can add a string item, we can add labor, and we can add grip. So we're going to want to make sure that we have each of those different items at the setup start point. So now we have the string item. If we didn't have a string item selected on the setup page, this button wouldn't show up. So we just want to make sure we have all of those items there in the string inventory section on that setup page. So when we go over to add string item, here we're going to have that item that I imported over from the point of sale. Any items that you're adding only in the string module will show up here as well. But here we can see, stock on hand, retail price, the specific item name itself. So here I'll just select the string, save that. So now that's going to be added to the fee for this job. Next we can do the labor. So again, just another item that I imported over from my point of sale. I just disabled the stock on hand, not tracking any stock here since it's going to be kind of just the labor itself that is being added to the fee. Typically we recommend the units being in hours or half an hours, just something that will kind of be easily measurable when you are adding this to the job. So, if it's an hour, you can have 1 unit. If it was 2 hours, you can add 2 units here. And then for the grip, it's going to be the same thing, just that same item that was added to the point of sale, or it can be that item that you just created specifically for the stringing module. We can select that here, save that. So now we have the racket information, we have the string item, we have the labor, and we have the grip. So now we have all of those fees set up for this job. What we can do, select our stringer, and we can have this open, or sorry, not open, we can change this over to in process once we have added that stringer. So now if we go over to the sidebar, you're going to see that new job over on my job since I assigned myself as the stringer for this one. If we go over to view, sorry, that was the wrong job there. If we go over to view, we're going to have all of this information on the specific job, and we'll have that status. So once the stringer has completed their job, they can have completed set up here. At this point is when the fee is created. So there's not going to be any fee that is created on the member's account until we have hit that completed status. And you'll get a little note here that says that. All changes to this job will be locked and a fee of $70 will be created. So you really just want to make sure that all of the information, all of the fees that were added here are correct before we move on to that completed status. But once we hit save, we can now see the fee summary. So that's just going to show us the category. We can see stringing job here. We can see that total amount to pay, and we'll get the fee details just breaking down each of the different fees that were added over here. So let's go back over to the stringing module. All right. So now we have that completed. It was moved down here, and over on that completed section, we're going to be able to see all of the completed jobs, see the fee amount that was added here, and you can even just charge it to the member. If this is linked to a member's account with a payment profile, we can go in and just mark that as paid. Use any payment profile or any other payment type here. So that would be how you charge the member, how you create a job and then move it over to the completed status. You're going to want to just use this status and manually select it as the stringer is working on the job. All right, and next, the last thing here is going to be that pickup status. Again, if you're not using the pickup status, then this won't be relevant for you. But if you do have that job status enabled in your setup, once we get to that completed section, we're going to have a pickup button right here. So when the member picks it up, we can mark it as picked up. And then after that, that job is going to be taken off of this module because the member has picked it up and the job is 100% completed now. We can do it with the other job as well. So that's going to be how you kind of finish that whole job process, get it out of the module. Again, if you are not using the pickup status, then it will just end at that completed section there.